Hi, you're watching Never Stop Trucking, and today we are talking about relationship between owner-operators and dispatchers. And I named this video that dispatchers are your friends, not your enemies. It really depends on an attitude from both sides, from a driver and from the dispatcher. First, let's talk about dispatcher. A dispatcher should be driver's friend and a partner in this business because they want that driver to stay with them for a long time and they want them to be satisfied with the services a dispatcher is providing, and they also want that driver to recommend the dispatcher's services to their friends as well. So a dispatcher should go out of their way to find a good load for the driver. When you call a customer service for any kind of company, and you sometimes get a person that just does their work automatically like a robot. They probably get hundreds of phone calls a day and they're just tired, and it's really hard to act like a human all day with all those problems and people complaining, and I totally understand that. But we as dispatchers should not act that way. I have had many dispatching companies calling me and offering their services to me as a trucking authority. Of course, they don't know that we have also a dispatching company, but when they call you, they sound like robots. And also, I just wanted to try some of them out just to see what they can do. And I would put them to test, and I would tell them, yeah, well, I do have a truck somewhere. And they just call you and they just find you a random load out there and like, hey, here's a load. Well, yeah, I see that load too. Well, here's this load. Well, this load will not work for me because such and such. And then it takes a long time for someone to learn about you as an owner operator, as a driver, like your preferences, where you like to go, what loads you don't like to do. And it just gets really annoying if you're a driver and a dispatcher keeps offering you the loads, the ones that you specifically told them that you don't want, those kind of loads, and they still they don't listen to you. They're just like robots, or you get 5 or 6 different people working with you, and you have to explain it to each one of them. Sometimes there is a language barrier, and it's frustrating. And you as a dispatcher, we will never succeed if you provide your services that way. It has to be personal. They have to feel the connection. They have to feel that you care about them, that you're listening to a driver. When a driver tells you their preferences, if you can't remember them, write them down. And you should write down those preferences either way. Even if you can remember, you have to have a spreadsheet or some kind of system where you write down everyone's preferences. And then when you know that they don't want a certain load, they will appreciate that, the drivers. And you don't want to always offer them those loads and just get turned down, and they get angry. They told you 5 times they don't want that load. The only situation where you should mention a load that they don't like, the owner-operator, is if there's really nothing on the board and the driver wants a certain load and there's really nothing else. You've been looking, you tried hard, you offered the owner operator a few loads and they turned it down, they don't want it. You should just casually mention to them to say, hey, the only other thing that I see is that load, and I know you don't like those loads. They might even take that load after all. So it's all about the approach. And so as a dispatcher, you have to have that friendly partnership attitude where you can relate to them, where you can connect. But on the other side, we have owner operators or drivers who automatically think like, hey, a dispatcher, they're just there to either make some money off of me, or they just want to find your load and go home. And they find your load and I'm here driving all day and all night and they're at home and they just took whatever there is. Now I have to deal with this. I have to mess with this load. My message to you as a driver It shouldn't be like that. I understand that there are some people, some dispatchers who will act that way, and there is actually a lot of them. I met some of them. But once you find a right dispatching company, or if you're working for an MC authority or something like that, it takes some time to find that perfect dispatcher that you want to work with. And there are a lot of really good dispatchers out there. I know a lot of them personally here in town. I met some of them online. There are a lot of good dispatchers who know what they're doing. It's just hard to find a company or start working with someone like that. Keep in mind that once you find that good dispatcher, that they are your friends, they are not your enemy, and we should treat each other just like that, like friends. A good dispatcher really wants you to be successful and satisfied. They will go out of their way to find a law that matches you. That law that you're doing today may not be really good, may not be perfect, because there was really nothing out there, but they will look for the next load that will work for you and that will make up on the money you lost or on something else. So not each load will be perfect. If you do like 4 or 5 loads in a week, not all of them will be perfect. Maybe 1 or 2 will be bad or average, and then a good dispatcher will try to make it up, and they will find you better loads. So just keep that in mind as an owner operator, as a driver, that we are your friends. We are here to help you. We are not here just to take your money and get it out of our way and be done for the day and just go home. No, we are good dispatchers available after hours, even on a weekend. When you need something that doesn't apply to description of my job, if you need a favor, we need to find your mechanic, look up a toll, look up the weather, or do something else totally unrelated, or even talk to you. Like when we have time, we can talk about whatever. I found myself all the time talking to owner operators or drivers. When I have time, we talk about personal issues, about other things, like something from our life that might help them, or they give me an advice because someone is older and more experienced than I am. They give me advice. So a relationship between a dispatcher and owner-operator should be like that. If the both sides, owner-operator and dispatchers, are acting this way, and if they have this mindset, then this should be a perfect job and perfect relationship for everyone. And I always like to say, as long as everyone is doing their job correctly, everything will be perfect. If a dispatcher is doing their job like they're supposed to, and if the owner, operator, or driver is on time and delivering and making sure that the hours and they're safe on the road, then everything will be smooth. Once one of them does not perform well, then everything goes down the drain. My name is Enis. I hope this video was helpful to you. I'll see you guys around. Come back for more. Check out, if you're a dispatcher, our dispatching course. If you're an owner operator, check our dispatching 3B Logistics, our dispatching company. See you guys around.